everyone, and welcome back to the Youth Political Activism channel. Today we're going to be talking about 3 of the main criminal investigations that Donald Trump is currently facing. The main one that's been in the news recently, the hush money case, we already did a full video only on that, an in-depth analysis of everything that went on in Manhattan on Tuesday. But this is going to be focusing on 3 other cases: the votes in Georgia, the classified documents, and lastly, January 6th. So if you want to cover those topics and want to recommend us to do more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so we know what videos to make. So firstly, on the main Georgia case, which I think is the most straightforward and obvious one. So what's been going on in Georgia? Well, mostly the main thing is that there's a recorded phone call between Trump and the Secretary of State of Georgia, or was at least during 2020, Brad Raffensperger, where Trump asks Raffensperger to, quote, find, he literally says this in the call, to find 11,780 votes for him, which would flip the state to Trump, and he would win all 19, I think it is, electors in Georgia. It's plain and simple. The phone call is recorded. What happens in the criminal investigations and what we see in all of these cases, whether it be the Georgia one, January 6th, the hush money, whatever it may be, is that the criminal process in the U.S. works in, the first step is really investigators. They compile evidence, whether it's phone calls, surveillance footage, whatever it may be. They present that evidence to a grand jury. The grand jury doesn't decide if they're guilty or not guilty or anything like that. They just decide if the evidence presented by the investigators makes sense. If it does, then they issue an indictment. And then the prosecutor can then charge the accused. And then from there, the accused can either plead guilty or not guilty. If they plead guilty, then the case just goes straight to sentencing. If they plead not guilty, which is what Trump did with the hush money case, then the trial or the case goes to court with a jury and a judge. And in that instance, the jury will have to vote unanimously 12-0 whether the accused is guilty or innocent. And then if they're guilty, faces sentence by the judge, or by the jury rather. But that's what's been going on in all of these investigations, and they're all at different points thus far. So what happened in Georgia was that the special grand jury heard the evidence and recommended multiple indictments. And so the grand jury in Fulton County agreed with the investigators. But what we don't know and what's preventing the case from going further, and this happened in May, is that the Fulton County District Attorney, Fannie Wells, is now at the point where she can either decide to go further with the case or not. If she doesn't decide to go further than the case, then it stops right here. And if she does, then as the prosecutor, she'll file for the charges, and Trump will most likely plead not guilty again, and then another court case on the hands of the Trump legal team. So this one's pretty straightforward. The evidence is clear and simple. A phone call recorded between Trump and Brad Raffensperger. No place for interpretation. It's right there and simple. He tells Brad Raffensperger to find him votes. So next is the DOJ special counsel on the classified documents found in Mar-a-lago. So this is a really interesting one because it's been ongoing for a really long time now. So federal special counsel Jack Smith's team, and he's in charge of this one, this case, and January 6th. His team is looking into dozens of documents labeled classified, confidential, and top secret that Donald Trump took to his Florida home, Mar-a-Lago, and refused to return. The National Archives subpoenaed Trump multiple times. They asked him to return the documents. He didn't. So eventually, the FBI had to pry the documents out of his hands. Another criminalizing thing for Trump is that there's security footage of people, members of his team, whether they're lawyers or other people, but members of his team moving around the documents in an effort to conceal them. I mean, that's up to the jury to decide or not, but that's what we're looking at currently. Some of the documents involve nuclear defense information, but right now a grand jury in D.C. is hearing the evidence, and there's still no new information on it. What's interesting about this case with the mishandling of the documents is that it also happened with both Pence, the former VP, of course, and President Biden. They both had special classified documents at their residences. Pence in Indiana and Biden in Delaware. I think he had them in 2 locations, actually, in his Delaware home and in an office in Pennsylvania, I think it was. And so this is like an ongoing thing, and if you're wondering, the special counsels are out for Biden at least, I'm not sure about the Mike Pence case. They probably do have a special counsel on him as well, but I haven't been keeping up with that. Comment down below if you know. But this is interesting that, the National Archives wasn't keeping tabs on any of these documents until recently. And, but the main issue is that, at least in the Trump case, different from the Mike Pence and Joe Biden cases, is that he refused to give these documents back. He didn't return them in any capacity. He kept them to himself. He didn't return them. And so he just kept them at his home and refused to give them back. And then the last thing, going to the New York Times for this one, is the January 6th inquiries, everything that's been going on with this. So there are two different instances with January 6th. One is the actual Capitol riot. The other is the process of fake electors. So with the January 6th stuff, again, federal special counsel Jack Smith's team has also been looking into this case and Trump's role in January 6th. If he did enough for him to be guilty in any fashion. Or way for him to be guilty about charges relating to January 6th. Telling his supporters to march on the Capitol, not telling them to stand down or anything like that, even though he's fully aware of what was going on. He is watching it on his TV in the White House, so there's evidence of that as well. But special counsel has been going on for a while now, over a year, I believe. But then that's one side of the January 6th inquiries. The other side is the question of fake electors. So the state's electors cast their votes for whoever won the most votes in the state. For example, if Biden wins a state, Biden gets all the electors. Same way that if Trump wins a state, Trump gets all the electors. And the electors are just the amount of electoral votes that come out of the state. They're represented by people who vote in the way that the state votes. So California has 54 or 55, I think currently 54 electors, and so all 54 electors in 2020 voted for Biden. Same thing goes for, say, Texas. I don't remember how many electoral votes they have. I think it's somewhere in the 40s. So all 40-something electors vote for Trump. So that's the process of electors. So in key swing states where Biden won, the Trump team tried to assemble slates of alternative electors even though Biden won the state. The Trump electors in Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and New Mexico met and signed documents to cast their ballots and sent them off to D.C. So that's not something that's legal. They're not supposed to do that, especially in states that were won by Biden. And the part that's important is that the Trump legal team was responsible for this stuff. And so the part that could potentially put Trump at risk is that if he signed off on these things or knew about them, but otherwise the Trump legal team will face the legal consequences. So grand jury in D.C. has been hearing about this case for months, and they still haven't voted on it yet, but it's said that they are in the closing stages of coming to an agreement on this. The Georgia situation will probably come to a close in May, and then we still don't know about the special counsel on the classified documents, but those will probably be coming to a close soon as well. But basically, Trump is dealing with a lot of investigations currently. He's in hot water. He's not doing too well, though we'll actually see contradicting information about that later. Donald Trump can possibly face multiple charges that will put him in jail, but actually, if you are in jail, you can still run for president. I know, shocking, but we'll see how that turns out. But I think that's really interesting, and we'll really see, because I think in some of these cases, especially the Georgia one, it's obvious that he's guilty. And this isn't like from a partisan manner. It shouldn't be. He, on the phone call, said to Brad Raffensperger to find him 11,000 votes. That's not, it's up to them to decide if it's illegal or legal, if there are any laws preventing things like that. But he obviously wasn't doing something moral. It's against the Constitution, the whole ideas of the Constitution in our democratic republic. But we'll see. And if something does happen, which probably won't, then we'll have to navigate having an elected or a presidential candidate in jail, or possibly even a president in jail. So that's a lot of hypotheticals, though, down the line. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the rest of our videos, our YouTube Shorts, also on this channel, or TikTok at bhhs.ypack, or Instagram at bhhs.ypack. We'll have that all linked down below for you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.